This shouldn't take too long. This is just basically an overview, working with basically the Joe Hurt administration. I know a lot of people still have questions about the high deductible health plan, and there's quite a few people who still have not opted into that. It's not mandatory, it's not required. It can be a significant savings. So Jason Weiledge is here to kind of go over some of that and to answer any questions that people continue to have. And I understand that some people have still had issues with it. Not real sure what those are, but I want to learn what those are. I brought a copy of the summary plan document, which is about a 140-page document that we usually have at open enrollment. Everyone wants a copy of that. It's a very detailed version of what's covered, what's not covered. Got a sign-up sheet back there instead of making all those copies and bringing them and leaving them here. I brought a sign-up sheet, so if you want those, I can email that to you. And then I brought like the little cheat sheet version, which is called the summary benefit description, or the SBC.
SBC. Summary
That's
benefits of coverage,
like
yep.
By law, it's a condensed version, so I have that back there too. I made copies of that, because it's not as large of a document. On a completely different note, and I don't want to digress, because I want Jason to go ahead and give his presentation. We've had a couple employees, a couple firefighters, and I think you guys have probably heard that they're getting like letters from Empress saying that their years of service credit don't add up to their actual years of service. It seems to be an issue with those who have been hired back in like 1992 and forward, not so much with any of the last 8 or 10 years. So if you get that, or if you want to make sure, you can either log on, if you haven't ever created an account online, you can go online and look at your years of service. You can call Empress and ask for a service report, years of service report, to make sure that the actual number of years you've been employed with the city match what Empress says. The last thing we want to do is get to the end or close to your retirement and have that be a problem and try to catch up. From what I've learned through investigating this one individual's account, it looks like between 2012, 13, 14, and a little bit into 15, the deductions for your 3% portion, the employee's 3% portion, have not been taken out. So you might want to take a look at the So I only found out about one, and then when I started researching that person, I found out from the finance department that apparently last year there were a couple other people. So I'd like to get to the bottom of it now, sooner than later, so if there's an issue.
Do you have their contact information?
Huh? I did not bring that with me, no, but you can actually log on to Empress. You can actually log on. If you need your pension ID number, I can give you that if you don't know it. Or you can usually use your social security number, but they've really kind of gone away from social security numbers and pretty
I've tried to do some stuff online with that, and I haven't had any success. I just assumed to speak to a person.
Okay, well, it's pretty user-friendly, and I can walk you through that if you need any help, but I need your pension ID.
I tried to change my beneficiary online, didn't work for the day.
Okay. They don't let you, you gotta have a form. They don't let you.
I couldn't even request online the paperwork to do it.
I can get you the form. I've got a copy of the document. It's not really difficult. I can help you out with that one.
I'll fill it out.
Okay.
You know, I can fill them out if I can get them.
Yeah. So I'd be sure to look at that. So I just want to mention that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Kim, appreciate it. Guys, appreciate your time today. This won't take probably more than 30 minutes, okay, at the most, so it just depends on the Q&A afterwards, but really we want to focus in is making sure everybody understands the high deductible health plan. This is rolling down, that's why it's falling down. High deductible health plan, we're going a deeper dive, so I want to make sure people understand how it works, make sure people understand how it compares to the PPO, understanding out-of-network, how that works if you go to an out-of-network provider, understanding limitations and exclusions. Those have been some things we've been hearing about being some problems as well. So again, I don't want to present and you guys just listen, interact with me, okay? So if you hear something that comes up and you don't understand it, just let me know, okay? And we're going to talk about it. So let's get started. First thing I want to look at is basically looking at the numbers, okay? So if you look at, do I need to wait a second? Okay, I'll wait. Excellent timing. It happens though.
Engine 44, truck 42, Jeffersonville District 4 on an active fire alarm. River Ridge, 301 Logistics Avenue, cross street of Trey Street and 6th Street. Repeating for engine 44, truck 42, Jeffersonville District 4 on an active fire alarm. River Ridge, 301 Logistics Avenue, cross street of Trey Street and 6th Street. Your timeout, 0947.
44.
Well,
42 to 45. Yeah. 45 hours. 44,000.
well.
It's all right. It's more quaint now. That's all right. All right. I think they call it now. They planned that, right? All right. So I'll let you guys finish real quick.
You're good.
You got-
He's interrupting.
You good? You good now? All right. So looking at look at the numbers. The first at the top is the PPO plan option. Okay. So E is for employee. If you're on the employee plan, your monthly premium is $100. So annualized is $1,200. So the best case scenario, you don't have any expenses out of your pocket, and you don't go to the doctor, you don't have any prescriptions. It's going to cost you $1,200, right? Just the premium. Same thing for family. It's $200 monthly premium, $2,400 annualized. And again, best case scenario, you're out $2,400. Comparing that to the high deductible health plan, your premium is $1, right, monthly, so it's $12 annually. The out-of-pocket maximum is $1,500. The most you would pay, okay, in a calendar year is $1,500. The city's contributing $700 to the HSA account on your behalf, right? So the difference between the $700, the $1,500, and your $12 premium, worst case, is $812, okay? Because this worst case, if you were to hit that, would be your responsibility, but that your contribution from the city is this, plus your $12 premium, you're coming out $812. Compare that to $1,200, best case scenario, so best case to worst case, you're in the positive $388. Does that make sense? For family, same type of scenario, 2, 4 annualized, $3,000 out of pocket, worst case scenario, city contribution $1,000. So when you take these three numbers into consideration, worst case scenario is $2,024. Compare that to $2,400, $376. So this illustration just looks at the numbers alone. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, you're going to come out ahead in the high deductible health plan compared to the PPO plan, just from a dollar standpoint. And again, if you don't hit these plan maximums, this number gets even greater, right? So just wanted you to understand how the numbers look. Any questions on that slide?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, let's talk about a high deductible health plan. That's something I just want to make sure everybody understands. Your plan is called a HDHP, high deductible health plan. You have a health savings account that you put money into and the city puts money into. They're two separate things. Sometimes people interchange those names, but the high deductible health plan is the health plan itself. The HSA or health savings account is the account the money goes into, okay? So there's no use it or lose it provision. So any money that goes in there, whether it's from the city or from you, it's there for you, okay? It never goes away, okay? It's at your disposal year after year. The city will contribute annually the full HSA amount that we showed on the prior slide on the second payroll of the year. So the second payroll in 2019 is when that full allocation will go into the account. We're not going to watch the video, disregard that. These are the contributions for 2019. Okay, so for next year, $3,500 single, from single HSA, $7,000 family, and if you're 55 or older, an additional $1,000 can be contributed into the account. Okay. Now that contribution takes into consideration the city's contribution and yours combined. Okay, so make sure you understand that. That's the most that can go into that account. Any questions? All right. Setting up an HSA account, you have the option of going through your own bank if they offer that type of an account, or through West Banco, which the city of Jeff has a partnership with as well. So either one you can work with to set up your account. You just select the amount you want out of payroll to deduct, and you can make adjustments at any time. So if you start off with, let's say, $50 a pay period, you want to go up to 100 or down to 25, the next payroll cycle, just let them know, and they'll be able to make those adjustments for you. Okay, so you can make those anytime, make those adjustments. You'll receive a debit card from the bank to pay for you, your dependents, and your spouse's expenses that are eligible. We'll talk about some of those here in a minute. You do not use the card for ineligible expenses, okay? Or you'll pay taxes on that, and you'll pay a penalty of 20%. Okay? And we'll go into more detail about some of those expenses here in a minute. Okay, interest, not very strong on most HSA accounts. Banks look at those as like checking accounts, essentially. So these are the interest rates. It's 0.01%, so it's not 1%. So it's a lot less than maybe you would think. But it is a way to earn a little bit of money on that. If you reach about $10,000 or more, I would recommend you talk to your bank about a investment option for those funds if you build those accounts up. Some people look at this as a long-term type of healthcare savings account, if you will, not maybe just on a day-to-day every year type of thing. So there's options to invest those dollars once you normally reach $10,000 or more with any bank that you're working with. Okay?
Are you with West Banco or?
I'm not with West Banco. Yep. So sorry, I can't address the.
West Banco offer go back. The investment?
No, they do not. At least they didn't last year. I don't think they do now.
Which is why, when we first started this, that's why I think the finance department decided to just stick with one bank until we kind of could figure out, making sure that all the deductions were going the right places and all that kind of stuff. But since then, they've said that if you want to bank somewhere else and have your HSA set up at the bank of your choice, then it's absolutely fine. They'll make that distribution. We just have to have the same information that we have for anything else, the routing number, the account number, all that kind of stuff. So it does not have to be a West Banco anymore. So, which is kind of the goal to begin with, so that everybody didn't have to follow one.
Do we have to change that at open enrollment?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has to be done if we want to change bank.
Good questions.
And I don't have those dates yet, so.
So HSA accounts are unique in that they provide triple tax savings, okay? Tax-free contributions in your HSA account that you make or the city makes. Earnings, investments, interest are also tax-free. And any payments that you take out for eligible expenses, you don't pay taxes on those either. So no taxes in, no taxes on interest, earnings, or payments coming out. So there's no other program that offers that type of tax advantage. So that's something to also keep in mind. So who are the best candidates for high deductible health plans? Normally, I would say these are the only two scenarios, but we outlined on the first slide, looking at the numbers, that really it makes sense almost for everybody to consider that solution, given the contribution from the city and the way your health plan is set up, that you come out better, even if you have a worst case scenario with HSA, even versus the best case scenario with the PPO. But in generally, low utilizers make a lot of sense because they're not going to use their HSA dollars very much, and normally a high deductible health plan is more exposure. So those are good candidates. High utilizers are going to hit that deductible quick in the year, and they don't have any other payments after that for the rest of the calendar year, are also good candidates to take advantage of the high deductible health plan. But like I said, I think add another layer, your all's plan, the contribution really makes it set apart from just even these two options to consider. So let's talk about eligible expenses, because I know there's some concerns about that. So the IRS sets particular expenses that are eligible for HSA accounts. Any type of obviously out-of-pocket medical, deductibles, co-pays, prescriptions, those types of things count. When I talk about prescriptions, over-the-counter medications don't fall in an eligible category unless you have a prescription from your doctor. If you have a prescription from your doctor, then you can turn those in as an HSA account eligible expense. Okay. Dental expenses, out-of-pocket dental, vision expenses also qualify. You can use for long-term care premiums, Medicare types of expenses like supplements and so forth. When you turn 65, you actually can use the HSA dollars for anything at that point. So there's that option as well when you get to that age. You can't use it for things outside of those types of realms. So you can't go buy groceries with it. You can't go buy a bass boat. Those types of things. That's where the penalty and the 20% come into play in those types of scenarios. So it's important that you use it just for eligible expenses. Someone asked earlier about LASIK. Yes, LASIK, that's fine. That's a vision expense. No problem there. Anything that you would think, health, dental, vision, obviously are going to be covered. Think along those terms. But people don't always know about long-term care, Medicare supplements, and those types of things as well also qualify. Anybody have any particular questions on what's eligible or not that I can address that they've had questions about? No, premiums are not something that I've even seen on the legislative front to allow at this point in time, but no at this time, so not for premiums. Good question though. Anything else, guys, about expenses?
What is the deductible on the high deductible plan?
It's for single $1,500 and $3,000 for family.
And what's the current deductible on the PPO?
I don't.
3,000 on the PPO.
On the PPO.
It's 500.
Well, you're paying $2,400.
2,400 plus co-pays. For a single?
Here's the slide right here.
That's without the city giving you $800 or about. I'll say
Well, okay.
So these are the.
I wasn't talking about the premium. I was talking about the
deductible.
There is no deductible. Pay co-pays.
You talking about the PPO?
Yeah. The deductible's $3,000 on this, right?
Are you on a family plan?
Yeah, I'm on a single plan.
Single plan, okay. So the out-of-pocket maximum is $1,500 for the high deductible health plan.
Okay.
On the PPO single, I'm sorry, I don't have that. Do you
That's
have?
the high deductible health.
This is the high deductible health plan, yes, with the HSA
What is the
account.
max out of pocket on the PPO plan?
You know,
Single.
for single, yeah. Do you have that, Kim?
3,000.
I think it's more like 500 is what I was thinking.
Huh?
On the PPO
It's
plan?
like a lifetime, like you'd ever.
You've got the SBCs in front of you, doesn't it tell you?
Like in a calendar year that you would ever pay.
Don't think I've ever paid $3,000 a year on the PPO.
No, you wouldn't, but it's,
They're on the SBCs, they should be. We'll get that answer for you.
I'm focused on the
You pay
HSA
12, you
today.
pay 1,200
Yeah,
It's premiums, yeah.
yeah.
plus deductible.
I don't know what else
And what, there's no premium on the other?
So what we outlined here is the best case scenario, you're just going to pay your premium at $1,200 here, right? Because it's $100 a month, $1,200 for the year,
it's still, I think it's 1,500, it's still 1,500, 3,000 even for,
the PPO.
I brought the SBCs for the H. for how to-
Oh, okay, I got you. High deductible health plan, $12 annual premium, $1,500 out of pocket. Worst case scenario, you hit that, right? $1,500, it's $1,512. City is contributing $700 to an HSA account, okay, to cover this if it happens. Add these together, $812 is the most you'll pay because your city's contributing $700 against this $1,512. You come out ahead $388 versus paying $1,200. And this is worst case scenario. That's best case scenario. That's having no expenses, just having paying the premium. That's why this makes so much sense for everybody, because the contribution from the city and the plan design that you've got in place.
The downside, and that's what I kind of want to find out, what questions people have in terms of why they're not liking it. People say it's too much trouble, it's too much work. It is work because you have to kind of be a consumer and engaged in what your expenses are in terms of knowing what you've paid out of pocket. So like we had somebody, one of your peers, ended up paying $4,000 out of pocket, whereas what I would tell somebody, if you're going to go on the high deductible health plan, January 1, you start tracking everything you spend, and once you know you've paid $3,000, don't pay a provider anything else until the claims process catches up. Because otherwise, then you're going to be chasing anything over $3,000 from a provider and counting on that provider to give you money back. Does that make sense?
And the best thing I tell people to do is don't pay a doctor's bill. Pay
Yeah.
based upon the EOB, explanation of benefits, that Humana will send you, saying, here is what you went for, the date of service, here's what they charge, here's the discount, here's your responsibility. Because doctors are notorious, hospitals, physician offices, to miscalculate your responsibility. And you normally will send you a bill before you get your explanation of benefits from Humana. Don't pay based on what they say, the provider, pay based on what the carrier says.
And know when you're on a high deductible plan, I'm on that, and I still, every time myself or my husband or my daughter goes, they want to collect the $20 copay. It's a big argument. No, I don't owe you $20. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Don't pay that. And I think part of that problem is inherently that our high deductible health plan is not truly, it's not a real high deductible health plan. We call it that, but it does not meet the regulations for a true high deductible health plan, and it's not really recognized by Humana as a high deductible health plan. So I think sometimes providers, when you go and you show up, they still see that card and it says PPO, even though you know it's a high deductible. They're still trying to collect that. So you just have to know what your plan offers and what you're supposed to pay. And their website, I mean, if you log on and have, does anybody here have an account? You go online and look at their account.
Information on the message.
I mean, it's pretty up to date and pretty current. It will actually show you what's been paid, what expenses, you know, if you've met your deductible. It's very, very user friendly.
So what do you do if you pay by the EOB?
Mm-hmm.
The doctor's office doesn't agree with you and sends you the collections for it.
They won't, because you've got the EOB to prove it. I mean, they've already agreed to that in their contract. So you can send them a copy of the EOB and go, hey, here's what I'm supposed to pay. Talk to Humana.
I can tell you what happened, Rick. It's a lot of phone calls back and forth between the carrier and the provider and figure out how they're going to fix it, because it's happened to me twice.
And little old me caught the bill. That's what I don't want.
Well, that's when you need to have your support team, you know.
You want that?
Yeah, when you send to collections twice.
That's when you call Kim, right? In those scenarios? Or yeah, that's what Kim's for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Kim's for. Get involved. So,
That's what I'm looking for, is to avoid the nightmare and headache.
yeah, you pass along that type of situation to Kim's team, to, you know, Joe. Those folks are there to support those types of situations.
Yeah, but every time that we contact them, we're told we have to be in the office to even speak on our behalf because of HIPAA.
HIPAA. Well,
Correct?
No, not always. If you want to call them, what I encourage people to do, and you can talk to some of your peers about, I feel bad that you had that bad experience, is that as soon as you get something, I have, by virtue of our contract with Humana, I have one contact person that's assigned to me. I'm the only person from the city of Jeff, it's called a single point of contact, SPOC. The only person in the city of Jeff she's allowed to talk to or authorized to talk to about anybody's claims is me. Connie can't call them, Christine can't call them, the mayor can't call them, Jason can't call them. I'm the only person legally by our contract, which is HIPAA. And what I try to encourage people to do, as soon as you get something, they get that to me early so that I can either call the doctor on behalf, because the doctor's office typically can talk to me about payment. They can't tell me why you went, diagnosis, and that would violate HIPAA. If I'm calling just about payment or explaining to them you have a high deductible plan versus a PPO, because they still want to process all of our stuff as a PPO.
Well, that helps to know that we need to contact you because every
As
time I've
soon as
talked
you
to
get
Connie,
something.
Connie's like, well, you have to come in here to do it. I'm like, you know, you can't just run down there to.
Just call me. You can. I have people fax them to me. I have people email them to me. I have people drop stuff off at my house. I will meet you. I mean, I need people in my parking lot. I meet you down. I mean, most you know, I'm pretty flexible. I'll do any of that, but you've got to do it early so that I have that information, and typically then all I have to have, which I have access to all that, is your date of birth, date of service, social security number, and then if it's a member, if it's a dependent. And then what I can do is if I can't resolve it by calling the doctor's office and finding out what's going on, or the lab court, whoever it is, then I take it up the chain to my SPOC and say, hey, I don't think this is being billed correctly, blah, blah, blah. I have to just write an error about what's going on. And then they investigate it. And probably 99% of the time it's resolved. So just don't wait until you get those collection notices. And I can talk to Connie about that. You've got my cell phone number, and people call or text me all the time.
most of the times it's provider issue.
It's usually provider.
They're not educated in the plan, or they file incorrectly with the carrier. That happens more than anything else. It's not normally your all's fault. So a lot of times just educating those providers on what goes on, and that happens all the time.
Copay.
If you're on the high deductible health plan, do not pay a copay. And
Yep.
they will, my daughter went last week, and they still try. She's on the phone with me with them going, it's kind of $20. I'm like, no, let me talk to the person. This person on the phone, I'm like, we have a high deductible health plan. I know you want to try to collect $20. You do not pay $20. We don't do copays anymore. We're on a high deductible health plan.
A lot of times when you do that, then they can get a check back, and then it's another process.
Exactly, which is why you don't give them, if you're on the high deductible, do not pay anything. Now, I have been told by a couple employees that some providers' offices require that kind of as a deposit of some sort.
But then they don't take it off your bill.
And that's where the high deductible thing is, because you have got to be the active consumer. So like if Rick wants the low key, I don't want any questions, I don't want to go on the phone, and I don't want to mess with that stuff, the PPO plan is definitely the way to go.
It's worth $388 a year for me
But
to put up with less hassle.
But I think we also have to look at it at a much broader, this will eventually affect all of us in our premiums in healthcare and our contracts. So if we want to maintain retirees' insurance and other things, I think that we have to consider these things.
Well, you maintain PPO for 5 years and I'll be good.
So, and I think you bring up a very good point, which also, one of the things that Jason and I try to explain to people is to also try not to get to that point where once you've met your deductible, just go crazy and think, okay, now I'm going to have everything done, I don't care. Because at the end of the day, the total claims is the total claims. We're currently spending, I think, $7 million a year on health insurance for less than 400 employees. I mean, that's a pretty significant part of the budget. So,
All right, good stuff. So let's talk about the mission a little bit. Kind of Kim alluded to this a little bit. So the mission of the High Deductible Health Plan is kind of challenging members to become wise consumers of healthcare by taking time to research health professionals, which you don't do with PPOs, right? You got a copay. It's all kind of your mindset. This all got to pay. But now when you're looking at HSA dollars that the city's contributing, or maybe you're contributing as well, now you're kind of dealing with your dollars. You know, how much do you want to keep growing that HSA account? So thinking through what are the best places to treat my condition, my spouse, my dependents at the lowest cost, but best outcomes as well. So examples, learn what services can be provided at the off-site health center, you know, right behind City Hall. They do a lot of stuff, and there's no cost for you to doing that, going over there. Urgent care facilities, you know, they can do a lot more than you think. You know, I mean, sutures, all kind of stuff, you know, setting arms and those kind of things for you, versus going to an emergency room, which is going to be the most expensive. An ER visit is going to cost the city probably somewhere around $1,000 to $1,500 just walking in the door. Urgent care is going to be probably a couple $100, okay? So big difference versus urgent care versus emergency room. Of course, it depends on what's all done there. I'm just speaking in general terms. Ask the doctor if lower cost medications are available for your condition. You may have a drug that doesn't have a generic equivalent, but there may be other medications that do, that treat the same type of condition. Those doctors, on average, know about 20, 25 medications, and which ones do you think they know the most? Are those drug reps coming in there talking to them about it, the newest stuff, okay? Doesn't mean something else out there wouldn't work just as well for you. So have those discussions, especially when you're on the High Deductible Health Plan, because you're exposed to those prescription costs, okay? Ask for samples. If you're trying a new drug and you don't know if it's going, the doctor doesn't know if it's going to work, ask for some samples. They've got samples all over the place in their offices. Take those first. If it works, then get a prescription filled. Don't get a prescription filled just like that. It doesn't work, and you're throwing your money away, okay? And that's a claim going against drugs. So just a couple examples there on how to be good consumers. So let's talk a little bit, switching gears, about out-of-network medical services, because this is something that's come up recently. So in your health plan, whether it's the PPO or the High Deductible Health Plan, the two that you have available to you, most plans, just like those, have out-of-network benefits. Okay, that means providers that do not have a contract with Humana. CHF is no exception. So when providers choose not to have a health carrier's contract, that's reducing their charges that they normally bill to be on a list of in-network providers. That's basically what that looks like. If they're not, they're considered out-of-network. So since the carrier, Humana in this case, has to pay the higher out-of-network charge to that provider because they're not discounting that, they're passing along that cost on to you. So let's show you what it kind of looks like, because I can say it, but let me show you. High Deductible Health Plan we'll look at first. If you go in-network, this is your deductible and out-of-pocket, you're meeting it at the same time, okay? Meeting this, it's inside this, okay? Office visits, you see everything else, zero after your deductible. Look at out-of-network, what a difference. It doubles. It's, you know, $3,000, $6,000 versus 15 and 3, it's 6 and 12. 30% after that deductible, a lot more exposure. So if you go to an out-of-network provider, that's how the plan would look like versus here, okay? Big difference, understand that. Let's look at the PPO. PPO. It says HDHP, I'm sorry. This is the PPO. So you're asking about the deductible. It's 1,000, 100, 200, and 500, and 1,000 is what I've got in my information as far as the PPO is concerned. This is the copays. These are the copays, excuse me. This is out-of-network. So you see how those numbers increase going to out-of-network providers. Now, in this area, you shouldn't really have a problem with that. You've had Humana for so long. They have a strong network, but there's always the occasion where you'll find something in the news where a provider group has a contract dispute with a carrier, and then now they're out of network. So that could happen at any time. So understand how important that is and what your responsibility would be out of network versus in. Ways to make sure you don't pay those, besides just keeping up with the news that I just talked about, check online. We talked about Humana's website, humana.com. You can go on there, put in a provider's name, and they'll tell you if they're in network or not, okay? Call that doctor's office, make sure that they're accepting Humana in network. Give them your network name, and I'm sorry, Kim, I don't have your in network. Is it, you have are you Choice Care, or are you MPOS? Do you know which network you're with? Choice Care? Okay. So when you call the provider's office, don't just say, do you take Humana? They'll say it, because they'll take it and charge you out of network if they're out of network. That's not what you need to say. You need to say, you take Humana is in network with the Choice Care network. Those are the words you need to share, whether it's PPO or High Deductible Health Plan. that ensures that they're taken and they have a contract with the carrier, okay? You can also contact the nurse line. That's another option. So we've had this done. I've got 3 kids, so if you call the nurse line and they send you to a provider, based upon that discussion on the phone, it's going to be covered in network regardless of where you go. So this really helps when you're out of town, you don't really know the area as well. They send you to a local doctor to be seen, then they'll automatically be guaranteed to be in network because they've referred you to that place of service. Okay? Yes, Kim?
There's also a website called GoodRx
Mm-hmm.
that you can log into and put in basically your zip code, and it will tell you then whatever the prescription that you have, it will tell you which pharmacist has it at the cheapest rate.
Lowest price, yep. Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
If you're trying to save money and you're on a high prescription medication, you'd be pretty surprised at the variance between the prices just in our local area.
On this out-of-network, this
Yep.
happened to me a few years ago. Son had an injury, went to Cozaires. They did a bone scan. Well, evidently somebody inside of that hospital was not part of the network. And I don't understand how I can't interview.
I understand. Anesthesiologists are another big issue with that, right? You're being put to sleep by someone who's maybe not even.
At the end of the day,
Yep.
what am I supposed to do? I mean, help me. What are we supposed to do in that
I've
situation?
had the same thing happen.
Where everybody in the hospital is covered, but one doctor says, oh, we're on a network. Well, I didn't give you, I mean, I can't interview you to make sure before you touch my child.
Right.
So,
And that's a difficult issue. I mean, like I said, I've had 3 kids. I actually had the hospital check with the anesthesiologist before they actually performed on my wife to make they were sure they were in network before they even while she was in labor. It's crazy enough.
said there's nothing we can do other than.
I mean, you
I brought it up to Humana, and I've got a meeting with them today, I can bring it up again. I mean, my
And it
husband
hasn't
had a
happened
heart
recently.
attack
I mean, it's been a
January
couple
3rd, and same thing happened.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know,
right. So
given his condition, I'm like, okay, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
all
that
about, I
person.
understand, hey.
Yeah, no.
We do our part and say, hey, are you in network? But I can't do that in a hospital setting where they're saying we need to do this, this, and this.
right, and you don't have time to do the investigation and check into it.
Are you in?
Right.
Have them sign a waiver.
There have been some cases in the past where we had that happen a couple of years ago. I don't remember how that was like law. It was more of a situation where they were out of town and it happened, they were skiing and somebody broke their leg and out of network and blah, blah, blah. And we were able to get that discounted down.
I'm going skiing.
Uh,
So I'm skiing later this year. My wife's already got a broken foot.
So sometimes you can have success with trying to fight it with the Department of Insurance. That's an option. It requires basically telling your side of the story, especially if it's an emergency situation, you really don't have time.
And what we did is our agent, Joe Olson, basically I gave it to him. He contacted whoever he had contacted and got it negotiated down. It doesn't cover it at 100% because the hospital has a contract with this person,
Sure.
which is getting to be more and more common,
Yep.
you know, unfortunately. So I think we're probably going to be seeing more of that. And he was able, just through discussions and making the ask. You know, I always tell people, and I know it's probably not always, maybe, I don't know, if it helps, I would do it. But for some reason, I know historically, we have a lot of firefighters, a lot of police officers who have traditionally never, ever, ever gotten charged that 20% of MRIs, CTs, CAT scans. I mean, I can't tell you, there's only like a handful of police and fire who've ever been charged the 20%.
Who I had.
So.
From Clark County.
Huh?
From Clark County.
Primarily from Clark
I
County.
was gonna say, so.
Now, Priority has cheaper rates. Freestanding places are typically cheaper than hospitals.
Right.
But you throw out the public service card and
$1,400 for one.
so,
So you go to bet your high deductible.
Yeah.
I reached my double every
All right. So,
Should be on the high deductible.
I just soon spend
And
the
it's a
extra
tax
$300 a
shelter.
year.
And it's a tax shelter. That's,
Yeah.
you're.
I'll spend the other $300 and
I realize that's not shelter.
all right. Switching the gear. Limitation and exclusion. So every health insurance contract has limitation and exclusion sections of which a carrier will not cover certain conditions, okay? So I know Kim was saying earlier that she has the full 100+ page document that includes the limitation and exclusion section of the contract. I just provided a few here just so people would know kind of what some of them look like. Non-medically necessary services, work-related injury, obviously that's workers' comp, services outside of the U.S., experimental procedure, infertility services, cosmetic surgery, hair transplants, bariatric surgery, acupuncture are just a few that are listed. I have one here that I got from a Humana contract, and it's about 6 pages long. Again, Kim's got the full version that includes this and everything else that's in there, but you know, one of the issues I think we had was people concerned, you know, you all said that this covers everything after we meet your out-of-pocket maximum. Well, you know, there are exclusions, just like with any health insurance contract. They're not going to cover everything. So make sure you're familiar with what those things are before you get those things done if you think they're going to be covered. Now, a lot of these things, or some of these things you could possibly use on the HSA account. Those are some, you know, you can go through the provider and see if they will be covered. But again, you can go through online and actually look up a full list of HSA covered services as well. We talked briefly about what some of those were earlier, but again, there's a lot of options to use those accounts for those procedures. So any questions on exclusions, limitations, those types of things? No? That's all I got. We did pretty good on time. Anything else, guys? You all need to talk about, bring up? Questions, concerns? So we're here to answer your questions.
You can't use for example, if a person wants to put more money into their high deductible plan.
Right.
For retirement.
Yeah.
Let's say a lot of us retire prior to 65.
Sure.
Can we still stay on the high deductible plan upon retirement and still have that $3,000 out of pocket, let's say? Can we use that money that we have saved in our high deductible to meet that $3,000 deductible? I understand the premium, but the premium is only $24.
Right, right. Yes, you can answer that question. Even, let's take it a step further. Even, let's say you leave City of Jeff as an employee, okay, and you go somewhere else, okay? Even if you're not in the high deductible health plan anymore. Let's say you're not even in the high deductible health plan anymore. You can still use your HSA account dollars for out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay.
Even if you're not in a high deductible health plan anymore, okay? That's still eligible. You can't contribute anymore if you're not in a high deductible health plan,
right,
but you can still use those dollars.
So your contribution stops upon leaving
From the city, correct?
the city, but the money that's in there can still be used to meet those deductions.
Yes.
Just keep paying the premium, keep paying like the premium.
Right.
What I'm saying is when upon retirement, I don't have to switch to PPO. I can stay on the high deductible plan, the $3,000 for the family, and the money that I have saved in my high deductible, I can use towards my deductible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have retirees on that now, and the contract didn't state that retirees were not eligible for the contribution, so,
They're still getting the contribution?
yeah, I tell the finance, it's on the contract, it doesn't exclude them, so.
So
I
they're
would
still
say
paying.
Somebody get a hold of that.
So Heather and I were like, okay, yeah, there's.
Turn the camera on.
Oh. Doesn't say they're not.
Right. Well, yeah, you have to exclude it, I think, or else all members are going to receive.
Say they're not.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a great tax shelter. I mean, like I said, there's no other thing you can put money into. You don't pay taxes in or out, or the earnings on it as well. So it's a great solution. I wish I had this available to myself. I'd be all on this, for sure.
The other thing, Jason, I don't know, have you ever heard of a limited flex spending account?
Yes, I have. Limited flex spending account, yes.
And I don't know if that would benefit us or not. I mean, because you've already got, there's a thing called a limited health savings account, which would allow you to have money set aside pre-tax, but it can only be used for vision and dental. It's a vision and dental set aside. So I'm looking into that.
Yeah.
I think if you got the high deductible,
It would really make a lot of
that's going to
sense.
make a lot of sense because that's still pre-tax dollars you can use.
Yeah, so, normally, you see those types of scenarios in a different scenario than what you've got here. I don't really see how that would be beneficial to have that. But we can obviously look at it and talk about it if you want to see what you're thinking, especially on how to put a health plan, because you can't double dip and have two scenarios going to the same bucket of money, right, to deduct for. So, yeah, good stuff.
And just, I mean, if everybody, I think most people have my cell phone number. I can give it to you again. I don't know if you have pins or anything, but I mean, anytime you have a question, I mean, And whether you want the PPO or the high deductible, I think it's a very personal decision. You know, it's good for some people, it's not good for other people. It's totally a personal decision. I'm not trying to force one thing or the other. But anytime you have claims or claims questions or issues, I mean, give me a call, shoot me a text. If you're having difficulty getting through office staff, just say, Kim told me to call her. You know, you talk to Kim and just don't take no for an answer. But it's 502-424-7990. And I think I've pretty much talked to just about everybody in here on cell phones, so you should have that. But I can always get an answer. It might not always be the answer you want.
That's your number?
Huh?
That's your number?
Mhm.
Get McDowell.
What?
It's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
I wake up to a lot of this.
Don't give me out your number.
It's funny how that works. I wake up, I mean, I get a text in the middle of the night.
What's your cell phone?
502-424-7990.
Yeah, 379-1775.
Oh gosh, I haven't had that number for, God, Edgar had that. He called one day, like, I've been texting you, I haven't had that number for 6 years, 7 years. Huh?
That's probably the one I got in my
Well,
phone.
no wonder if you say I never heard
So
of
502.
424-7990.
I completely blacked it out.
And I'm, you know, I'm good, because I don't work 8 to 4, you know, then weekends, evenings, just, you know.
Had no
If it's after regular hours, it might take me a little while to get back to you.
What time are you having?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow and,
Well, I got 3 more trucks.
we were doing 9:30 today.
Tomorrow and Thursday.
9:30 Thursday. Those are the dates that, Hendrick said would work. And it was like, I think, I don't remember what crew was today. We did it so that we get each crew. Okay.
The problem is they don't want to bring all crews in because now you don't have protection on the outer ends of the city. So.
I asked the admin, give me dates that work and give me times that work, and these are the 3 dates that they gave me.
You talk to Sean?
No, I talked to Eric, and then I talked to Bill, so.
Just take these dates and visit each house, and give us some spiel at each house. I'll get that.
So that's why we chose these dates, so.
Okay.
We work it, huh?
That's it's not being recorded, though.
Oh, it is, or isn't?
Beaker, stay here, 45, you can leave.
I was,
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Charlotte, thank you.
Yep.
The crew that just did the exercise.
does anybody want